What if the sun suddenly disappeared? There will be a morning that never truly begins. No explosion, no warning, no sound tearing through the sky, just something missing. At first, you wouldn't notice it. You wake up like any other day. The world feels normal, quiet, predictable. Light spills through your window. The sky glows softly with the promise of another sunrise. And somewhere, 150 million kilometers away, a star continues to shine. Or at least, it did, because unknown to everyone on Earth, 8 minutes ago, the sun disappeared. Not dimmed, not faded, gone, completely, erased from existence. But here's the strange part. For 8 full minutes, nothing changes. The light you see right now, it left the sun 8 minutes ago. Every sunrise you've ever witnessed is already in the past. You are always looking backward in time. So for these final moments, humanity continues as if nothing has happened. Cities wake up, cars fill the roads, coffee machines hum to life, planes rise into the sky. A normal morning, unaware that it is the last one. Then, minute 8 arrives, and in an instant, the sky changes. The sun, once the brightest object in our world, simply vanishes. No fade, no warning, just darkness. A black circle where light used to be. Shadows dissolve, colors flatten. The world feels suddenly unreal. And for the first time in human history, daytime becomes night. But the darkness is only the beginning, because something far more important than light has just disappeared. Something invisible, something that has held our entire world together for over 4 billion years. Gravity. And in the next few moments, everything we know will begin to unravel. To understand what just happened, we need to go back. Not hours, not days, just 8 minutes. Because in the universe, nothing is truly instant. Even something as fast as light has limits. Light travels at approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. It's the fastest speed anything can reach. And yet, even at that incredible speed, it still takes time to cross space. The distance between Earth and the Sun is about 150 million kilometers. So when sunlight leaves the surface of the Sun, it takes roughly 8 minutes and 20 seconds to reach us. That means every time you look at the Sun, you're not seeing it as it is. You're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. Now here's where things become even more extraordinary. According to General Relativity, gravity doesn't act instantly either. It also travels at the speed of light. That means Earth doesn't feel the Sun's gravitational pull in real time. It feels the pull from where the Sun was 8 minutes ago. So when the Sun disappeared, its gravity didn't vanish immediately. For 8 full minutes, Earth continued orbiting as if nothing had changed. The ocean stayed in place. The moon kept its path. The planets continued their silent dance. It was as if the universe itself hadn't noticed yet. For 8 minutes, the solar system remained frozen in its routine. This delay creates one of the strangest moments imaginable. A brief window where the sun is already gone, but its presence still lingers. A ghost of gravity, a memory of light. But that illusion cannot last, because once those 8 minutes pass, reality catches up. And when it does, everything changes at once. At the exact moment the last photons arrive, the sun disappears from the sky. And at that exact same moment, its gravitational hold on Earth is gone. Instantly. No transition, no slow drift, just a sudden release. For over 4.5 billion years, Earth has been locked in orbit around the sun, pulled inward by gravity, balanced by its forward motion. This delicate balance creates the curved path we call an orbit. But remove the sun, and that balance is broken. What happens next is simple physics. But its consequences are extraordinary. Without gravity pulling it inward, Earth no longer curves around the sun. Instead, it continues moving forward in a straight line. At nearly 30 kilometers per second, that's over 100,000 kilometers per hour. In that instant, Earth becomes something it has never been before. A planet without a star, a world set free into the darkness of interstellar space. And no one on the surface would feel it happen. There would be no jolt, no sudden movement, because Earth was already moving at that speed. The only difference is its direction. We are no longer orbiting. We are drifting, and as Earth begins its silent journey into the void, the temperature starts to fall, slowly at first, almost unnoticeable, but unstoppable, because the sun wasn't just holding us in place, it was keeping us alive, and without it, the countdown has already begun. Minute 8 arrives, and just like that, the sun is gone. No fading light, no explosion in the sky, no dramatic warning. One moment, it's there. The next, it isn't. The brightest object humanity has ever known, the center of our solar system, simply vanishes. For a brief second, the world freezes. Not physically, but psychologically, because something feels wrong. The sky is still there. The clouds are still drifting, but the light is different. Then, within seconds, the change becomes undeniable. Shadows begin to soften. The sharp contrast of sunlight disappears. Colors lose their warmth. The sky, once blue, begins to darken. Not gradually, like sunset, but unnaturally, as if someone is dimming reality itself. Within minutes, day turns into something closer to deep twilight, and then darkness, complete, total, even in the middle of what should be noon. For the first time in human history, the entire planet experiences simultaneous night. And yet, this is only the surface of what's happening, because something far more profound has just occurred. At the exact same moment the last sunlight reaches Earth, the sun's gravitational influence disappears, not weakens, not fades, disappears, and with that, Earth is no longer in orbit. For billions of years, Earth has been following a curved path around the sun. This motion isn't random. It's a perfect balance between two forces, forward motion and gravitational pull. Earth is constantly moving sideways through space, at incredible speed, about 30 kilometers per second, but the sun's gravity pulls it inward, bending that motion into a circle. That circle is our orbit. Remove the sun, and you remove the curve. What remains is motion, pure, straight-line motion. In physics, this is known as inertia. An object in motion stays in motion, unless acted on by a force. And suddenly, there is no force. So Earth does exactly what physics demands. It keeps moving forward, but instead of circling the sun, it shoots off into space in a straight line, a tangent to its former orbit, silent, unstoppable, unnoticed. From the surface of Earth, you wouldn't feel it. There would be no jolt, no sense of acceleration, no sudden shift beneath your feet, because Earth was already moving at that speed. The only thing that has changed is its path. But from space, the transformation is dramatic. The familiar elliptical orbit disappears. Earth breaks away, leaving behind the invisible track it has followed for billions of years. The entire solar system continues its motion, but without its central anchor. Mercury flies off. Venus follows. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Each planet escapes along its own trajectory. The solar system doesn't collapse. It dissolves, each world becoming a lone traveler in the galaxy. Back on Earth, the sky is now something no human has ever truly seen. Without the sun, there is no scattering of light in the atmosphere, no blue sky, no glowing horizon. Instead, the sky turns black, perfectly black, even during what used to be daytime. And in that darkness, the stars appear, thousands of them, then millions. The Milky Way stretches across the sky in breathtaking detail, visible from every point on Earth. It's beautiful, in a way that's almost overwhelming, but it's also deeply unsettling, because this is not night. This is something else entirely, a world without a star. At first, the temperature barely changes. The atmosphere holds heat. Oceans store energy. The Earth itself radiates warmth accumulated over billions of years. But without the sun, that energy is no longer being replenished. Heat begins to escape into space. Slowly, but continuously. Within hours, the temperature starts to fall. Not dramatically, not yet, but enough to be noticed. A few degrees, then more, and with each passing hour, the trend becomes clear. This is not temporary. The warmth is not coming back. At first, confusion spreads. Power outages, solar eclipse, unknown atmospheric phenomenon. But it doesn't take long for scientists to understand. Telescopes confirm it. Satellites detect it. The sun is gone. Not hidden. Not blocked. Gone. And with that realization, a new understanding begins to settle in. This is not a crisis that can be solved. Not a disaster that can be contained. This is something far beyond human control. Because the source of all life on Earth has vanished as Earth drifts further into space. There is no dramatic sound, no cosmic wind, no sense of movement, just a quiet, invisible journey. A planet carrying oceans, continents, and life away from the only star it has ever known. The distance between Earth and where the sun once was begins to grow, kilometer by kilometer, second by second, and with every passing moment, return becomes more impossible, because there is no sun to return to. At this point, humanity is still alive, cities still function, lights still turn on, people still move through their daily routines. But something fundamental has changed. The countdown has begun, because without sunlight, everything that depends on it will begin to fail. Not instantly, but inevitably. Plants will stop growing, temperatures will continue to fall, ecosystems will begin to collapse, and over the coming days, the consequences will become impossible to ignore. And that is where the real story begins. Because what happens next is not about space, it's about survival. The first day without the sun doesn't feel like the end of the world. Not yet. It feels confusing, unfamiliar, wrong in a way that's hard to describe. Because life doesn't stop immediately. People are still walking outside. Cars are still moving through the streets. Phones are still lighting up in the dark. But the sky is no longer what it used to be. Within an hour of the sun's disappearance, the last traces of scattered sunlight fade from the atmosphere. What used to be a bright blue sky turns into something deeper, darker, until eventually it becomes completely black. Not dark blue, not twilight, but the same kind of black you would see from deep space. This happens because Earth's atmosphere no longer has a light source to scatter. Normally, sunlight interacts with their molecules through a process known as Rayleigh scattering. Short wavelengths, like blue light, scatter in all directions, giving us the sky we recognize every day. But now, there is no sunlight, nothing to scatter, and without it, the illusion of the daytime sky disappears completely. For the first time in human history, the sky looks the same everywhere on Earth. Black, infinite, unforgiving. And then something extraordinary happens. The stars come out, not gradually, like at dusk, not one by one, but all at once. Thousands of stars become visible, then tens of thousands. The Milky Way stretches across the sky in incredible detail, a dense river of light cutting through the darkness. Planets that were once invisible in daylight now shine clearly. Constellations appear overhead, even at what used to be noon. It's beautiful, more beautiful than any night sky humanity has ever seen. But it comes with a realization that is impossible to ignore. This is not night. This is the absence of day. On the surface, the temperature begins to shift. At first, it's subtle, a few degrees, easy to dismiss. Buildings, roads, and oceans still hold heat from the previous day. The atmosphere acts like a blanket, slowing the loss. But without the sun, Earth has lost its primary source of energy. And energy, once lost, does not come back. Heat radiates into space. Constantly, silently, unstoppably. Within the first 24 hours, the global average temperature begins to fall toward 0 degrees Celsius. Some regions drop faster, especially areas already cold. Polar regions begin to freeze more rapidly. And even in tropical zones, the warmth starts to fade, while humans adjust to the darkness. Something else begins to fail almost immediately. Plants. Photosynthesis depends entirely on sunlight. It is a process that converts light into energy, fueling nearly every ecosystem on Earth. Without sunlight, photosynthesis stops. Instantly, no delay, no transition. Plants continue to live for a short time, using stored energy, but they are no longer producing new energy. No growth, no oxygen production, no food for herbivores. At this stage, nothing appears to collapse yet, but the foundation of the entire food chain has already been removed. Perhaps the most immediate effect isn't physical. It's psychological. Humans are deeply connected to the rhythm of day and night. Our bodies rely on it. Our minds depend on it. Without sunlight, that rhythm is broken. Circadian cycles begin to drift. Sleep patterns become irregular. Time itself starts to feel distorted. Is it morning? Is it night? There is no longer a visual answer. And as hours pass without a sunrise, a quiet anxiety begins to spread. Because deep down, everyone understands something fundamental. The sun is not coming back. Modern civilization is built on systems. Electricity, heating, food distribution, communication. At first, these systems continue to function. Artificial lights replace sunlight. Power grids compensate for the darkness. Cities remain illuminated, but cracks begin to appear. Solar power disappears instantly. Energy demand increases as temperatures drop. Heating systems begin working overtime. In colder regions, the strain becomes noticeable within hours. And although the world doesn't collapse in a single day, the pressure is building. One of the reasons Earth doesn't freeze immediately is because of its oceans. Water has an enormous capacity to store heat. The oceans absorb sunlight over long periods of time and release that heat slowly. This creates a temporary buffer, a delay, a brief window where life can continue. But it is only temporary, because without the sun, even the oceans will begin to cool, not from the bottom, but from the surface. A thin layer of water begins to lose heat to the atmosphere, gradually cooling, preparing for what comes next. By the end of the first 24 hours, Earth is still alive, but it is no longer stable. The sky is permanently black. The stars shine constantly overhead. Temperatures are falling. Photosynthesis has stopped, and humanity is beginning to understand the scale of what has happened. This is not a disaster that will pass. This is a permanent shift, a transition from a living world to something else, something colder, something darker, something unfamiliar. And yet, this is only the beginning, because in the days ahead, the changes will accelerate. Temperatures will drop faster, ecosystems will begin to collapse, and survival will become increasingly difficult. By the end of the first day, the world is still functioning. Barely. Lights are on. Cities are active. People are still trying to make sense of what's happening. But beneath the surface, something irreversible has already begun. Because the loss of the sun is not just about light. It's about energy. And without energy, everything starts to fail. As the second day begins, though day no longer has meaning, the temperature drop becomes impossible to ignore. What started as a subtle cooling turns into a steady decline. Every hour, the planet loses more heat. Every hour, the cold deepens. By the end of the first week, the global average temperature falls to around minus 17 degrees Celsius 1 degree Fahrenheit. And that's just the average. In many regions, it's far worse. Inland areas cool rapidly. Deserts lose heat almost instantly. Polar regions plunge into extreme cold. Snow begins to fall in places that have never seen it. Tropical regions, once warm and humid, start to feel like winter. And this is only the beginning. Without sunlight, plants have no way to produce energy. At first, they rely on stored reserves. But those reserves are limited. Within days, signs of stress begin to appear. Leaves wilt. Growth stops completely. Crops begin to fail. By the end of the week, mass die-off begins. Forests fall silent. Fields turn lifeless. Grasslands fade into dull, frozen terrain. And with the collapse of plant life, the foundation of the entire food chain disappears. Herbivores lose their food source. Carnivores lose their prey. Ecosystems don't collapse instantly, but they begin to unravel. For humanity, the impact comes quickly. Modern civilization depends on a constant flow of food. Supermarkets rely on supply chains. Supply chains rely on production. Production depends on agriculture. And agriculture depends on sunlight. Within days, the realization spreads. No more crops are growing. Whatever food exists is all that remains. Panic begins to rise. Not everywhere at once, but gradually, people begin to stockpile. Governments attempt to maintain order. Rationing systems are introduced, but the numbers are unforgiving. without new food production. The global supply is finite, and the clock is ticking. At the same time, energy demand surges. As temperatures fall, people rely more heavily on heating systems. Electric grids are pushed to their limits. In many parts of the world, solar power is gone instantly. Wind power becomes unreliable as atmospheric patterns shift. Hydropower begins to slow as water systems freeze. Only a few energy sources remain stable. Fossil fuels, nuclear power, geothermal energy. But even these systems are not immune. Supply chains begin to break down. Maintenance becomes harder in extreme cold. Infrastructure starts to fail. Blackouts begin. At first, they are temporary. Then they become longer, more widespread, and in some regions, permanent. As power systems struggle, cities begin to change. The bright glow of urban life starts to fade. Streetlights flicker. Buildings go dark. Heating becomes inconsistent. People gather in whatever spaces remain warm. Underground areas become valuable. Subways, basements, shelters, anywhere insulated from the cold. Because outside, conditions are getting worse. As the planet cools, the atmosphere begins to respond. Cold air sinks, weather patterns shift, storm systems weaken in some areas and intensify in others. But overall, the atmosphere becomes quieter, slower, heavier, without solar heating driving global circulation. Earth's weather engine begins to stall. The dynamic, ever-changing climate we're used to starts to fade. Out at sea, a slow transformation begins. The surface of the ocean starts to cool, not dramatically at first, but steadily. In colder regions, thin layers of ice begin to form. They spread outward, gradually covering more of the surface. But beneath that layer, the deep ocean remains liquid. For now, because water holds heat remarkably well. This creates a strange new world. A frozen surface above, and a dark, liquid ocean below. A hidden environment, cut off from the world above. By the end of the first week, the reality becomes impossible to deny. This is not temporary. This is not something humanity can fix. The sun is gone, and it's not coming back. The initial confusion turns into something heavier. Fear, not sudden panic, but a slow, growing awareness that the world is changing in a way no one can stop. Time feels different now. Without sunrise or sunset, days blur together. The concept of tomorrow loses meaning, because tomorrow will not be better. It will be colder, darker, harder. After 7 days without the sun, the average global temperature has dropped drastically. Plant life is beginning to die. Food systems are under severe pressure. Energy infrastructure is failing. Oceans are starting to freeze. Humanity is entering survival mode. And yet, life still exists. Civilization hasn't fully collapsed. Not yet, because Earth still holds one last advantage. Heat, stored deep within its oceans and its core. But that heat is fading. And as it fades, the next phase begins. A phase where the planet itself transforms. From a living world into a frozen one. A year passes without the sun. By now, the idea of days and nights has completely disappeared. Time is no longer measured by the sky, but by survival. And the Earth, the blue planet once filled with life, color, and warmth, is almost unrecognizable. In the months following the sun's disappearance, the cooling never stops. Every hour, Earth continues to radiate heat into space, and without any incoming energy, there is nothing to replace it. By the end of the first year, the global average temperature drops to around minus 73 degrees Celsius, minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, the cold is no longer uncomfortable. It is deadly. Exposed skin freezes in seconds. Air itself feels sharp, brittle, almost painful to breathe. In many regions, the atmosphere becomes so cold that moisture freezes instantly upon contact. Frost forms everywhere, not just on surfaces, but suspended in the air. Perhaps the most dramatic transformation happens in the oceans. What once covered over 70% of the planet begins to harden. From the surface downward, ice spreads across the seas. At first, it was just a thin layer, but over months, it thickens, meters, then tens of meters. Eventually, In many regions, the ice becomes hundreds of meters thick. Entire oceans are sealed beneath a frozen shell. But something remarkable still remains. Deep below the ice, the ocean is not completely frozen, because water is an incredible insulator, and heat from Earth's interior, left over from its formation and generated by radioactive decay, continues to rise slowly from below. This creates a hidden world, a dark, pressurized ocean, trapped beneath kilometers of ice, cut off from the sky, cut off from sunlight, but not entirely lifeless. On the surface, conditions are now almost entirely uninhabitable. But life has not vanished completely. Instead, it retreats, deep underground, beneath the oceans, near sources of internal heat. One of the most important refuges becomes hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. These are cracks in the Earth's crust where superheated water rises from below. Even in complete darkness, these vents provide heat, minerals, chemical energy. On Earth today, entire ecosystems exist around them. Life that does not rely on sunlight, but on chemistry. In a world without the sun, these environments become some of the last places where life can continue. Small, isolated, but persistent. As temperatures continue to drop, the atmosphere itself begins to change. Gases behave differently in extreme cold. Water vapor freezes out first. Clouds disappear. The air becomes drier. Then, as temperatures fall even further, carbon dioxide begins to condense. Snow, made not of water, but of frozen coal, starts to fall in some regions. The atmosphere thins, becomes heavier near the surface, less dynamic, more static. The vibrant, circulating atmosphere we once knew is slowly fading into something colder and more still. For those still alive, survival has become a full-time effort. The surface is no longer an option. Humanity moves underground, into bunkers, into tunnels, into insulated environments designed to retain heat. Energy becomes everything. Nuclear reactors become lifelines. Geothermal energy becomes critical. Every remaining resource is rationed, carefully, because there is no resupply, no recovery, only survival. Food production shifts to artificial systems, hydroponics, lab-grown food, stored reserves. But even these solutions are temporary, because maintaining them requires energy, and energy is finite. From space, Earth now looks completely different. No blue oceans, no swirling clouds, no green continents. Just a pale, frozen sphere, covered in ice, reflecting faint starlight, drifting through the galaxy. Alone, the planet that once supported billions of life forms has become quiet, still, almost lifeless. And yet, this is not the end, because deep within the planet, heat still exists, and where there is heat, there is still a possibility for life. But on the surface, the story is nearly over. The ecosystems are gone. The atmosphere is changing. The oceans are sealed beneath ice. Earth is no longer a living world in the way we understand it. It is something else now, a frozen relic, a memory of what it once was. But even in this frozen state, something extraordinary has happened. Earth has survived, not as a thriving world, but as a drifting one, because without the sun, Earth is no longer part of a solar system. It has become something far rarer, something far more mysterious, a rogue planet,